Human skulls, alligators, exploded sewers, and bodies hidden underground. Cities around the world have secrets flowing beneath the streets. These are disturbing discoveries made in the sewer. Deep underground modern London, there's a buried river called Walbrook, and in 1838, it delivered one of the creepiest sewer discoveries ever recorded. Construction workers digging in a new sewer under Blomfield Street suddenly started hitting skulls. It wasn't just one or two, it was an overwhelming number. One report from the time stated that a, quote, immense number of human skulls were found throughout the street, and there were hardly any other bones. It was just the heads. Since that first discovery, around 300 more skulls have been pulled from the old riverbed, mostly near the original site. Historians also believe that many thousands more were probably destroyed by later construction and are still buried down there. There's always been this urban legend about gators living in sewers under cities, but in Gainesville, Florida, scientists have actually found that there are alligators in the stormwater drains under the city. In a study led by University of Florida PhD student Alan Ivory, researchers put 39 motion-activated cameras under manhole covers and across 33 stormwater drains to see what was really living down there. Over about 2 months, it captured nearly 3,800 animal sightings from 35 different species. Among all those sightings were around 50 American alligators. Most of the gators were swimming through culverts that connect ponds and waterways, using the underground network to avoid busy roads and travel more safely. The study also recorded raccoons, bats, armadillos, snakes, frogs, and even 12 species of birds using the pipes. In May 1929, Ottawa's sewer system got hit by a series of explosions starting around noon. The blast sent manhole covers flying into the air, sometimes with flames shooting out of them. Homes had plumbing destroyed, basements were flooded or burned, and people were injured by debris. At least one person died after trying to escape the flames. And it wasn't just one explosion either. A follow-up incident happened in 1931. So what was happening? Well, investigators found that gas leaks in the sewer system, including methane from natural buildup and possibly gasoline or illuminating gas leaking from nearby stations, mixed with air in the enclosed sewer lines. It created an explosive mix. One wrong spark and boom. In the suburbs north of Detroit, Sterling Heights, and nearby Warren, Michigan, sewer workers ended up with one of the strangest and most unsettling finds on record. Over 3 separate occasions between 2012 and 2013, crews repairing large sewer lines pulled up pieces of human flesh, fatty tissue, snagged on grates deep underground. There were no bones or organs attached. The first incident happened on August 15th of 2012. The workers repairing a sewer caught 10 to 15 softball-sized chunks of human flesh. One piece had part of a tattoo, and DNA evidence later showed the remains belonged to a white female. Later that year, on December 20th, 2012, more pieces showed up in the sewer in Warren, Michigan, also fitting the pattern of skin and tissue without skeletal remains. Those remains came from a different white female. And then in September 2013, crews found more fragments in Sterling Heights again. Like the earlier finds, these pieces showed little to no decomposition, meaning they hadn't been in the sewer long before being found. Police investigated missing persons databases, but they didn't really get anywhere. And because the sewer line covers a huge area and serves hundreds of thousands of people, tracing where the parts actually entered the system, it was nearly impossible. To this day, the case remains unsolved. In May 2019, maintenance workers at Queensland Urban Utilities sewage pumping station in a coastal suburb of Brisbane made a grim discovery while doing a routine check. There was a man's body inside a sewage holding tank. Police declared it a homicide investigation. The deceased was later identified as 45-year-old Jason Geis, a man who'd been reported missing after last being seen around April 21st, 2019, near his home. CCTV footage showed him out and about earlier that evening. The underground sewage holding tank was about 6 meters deep. Police divers and rescue crews had to pump out sewage and work in contamination suits just to reach the remains. They weren't sure how the body ended up there. They looked at whether he'd somehow fallen or washed into the system, or whether someone deliberately placed him in the tank. As of this recording, the case is still unsolved. This past December, sewer workers in East London's Whitechapel area came across one of the grossest, biggest sewer blockages in recent memory. A massive fatberg. Now, a fatberg is basically a solid blob of all the stuff people flush or pour down drains that doesn't break down. This one weighed in at around 100 tons, made of solidified fat, grease, oil, and flushed wipes that had built up into this massive clog deep deep underground. The pile of congealed waste stretched about 100 meters into sewer pipes, roughly the length of a city block. Thames water and sewer teams said fatbergs like this are a growing problem, especially over holiday seasons, when people are cooking more and not really thinking as much about what they pour down sinks or toilets. The company warned that if this thing hadn't been discovered in time, it could have caused sewer backups, flooding, and raw sewage spilling into streets or homes. Giant sewer blockages have turned up in London before. There was a 130-ton fatberg in 2017, for example. And they're all caused by fat, grease, and wipes that cling together and grow in these enormous solid masses that crews have to break up and remove piece by piece. In late August, during a routine storm sewer inspection in Hamilton, Ohio, a contractor noticed what looked like bones down inside the sewer. When police and coroners arrived, they confirmed that what was found was a human skull. The Butler County Coroner's Office had a forensic expert take a close look, and they determined the skull belonged to an adult white male. There were no obvious signs of trauma, so there's no clear evidence as to how he died or what happened to him before his remains ended up in this sewer. Police and the coroner still don't know how long the skull had been down there. The sewer system in that part of Hamilton hadn't been inspected in years, so there's really no way to know if the remains were recent or decades old. Samples from the skull were sent for DNA testing to try and identify the person, but as of the latest reports, no match has been found. Just last February, crews doing work inside a sewer system in the East Jutland area of Denmark found something they definitely were not expecting: a dead body. Police found that the victim was a 26-year-old Polish man. Within days, Danish authorities had arrested two people, a 41-year-old Polish man and a 30-year-old Danish woman, on suspicion of killing the man and disposing of his body in the sewer. They carried out searches at multiple properties trying to piece together what had happened, but so far police have not released a motive. This next story comes from a now deleted Reddit user who wrote, "I used to work sort of tangentially to sewer workers. I did tech support for a sewer inspection software, and often I'd end up fixing busted video files from an inspection. These videos were collected by lowering a water-resistant camera on a remote-controlled rig down into the pipe and driving it through. There was one video from Fort Worth where they found a lateral, one of those pipes that connects a specific building to the main sewer line, like the pipe from your house to the main, that was completely clogged with used needles. It was a lateral off a hospital. My favorite would be one from Florida, I think Sarasota, where they found a gator in the sewer. They were replacing the camera the next day, so the supervisor just said to ram him. What followed was about 15 minutes of an increasingly concerned alligator getting bumped by the lens until it got to a manhole chamber and took off down another line." In 2014, Thames water crews were clearing out London sewers when they found half of a Mini Cooper stuck in a sewer pipe. And no, I'm not just talking about some scrap metal from a car, it was the entire back half. Thames Water said it was in terrible condition and looked like it had been down there for decades. Nobody really knows how it got there. Was it dumped on purpose? Did it fall through a collapsed road? Or did it just slowly wash in over time? Impossible to say. With all that said, that has been the video for today. I will catch you, yes you specifically, next time.